It's official, folks. High Seas heroes are eliminated from winning the June AGE Open for New England. Puffin Hightail has fallen to her mechanologist counterpart, Dash.io, in the hands of Connor Bryant. That rematch went a different way, but which one did not, Patrick? It was the Ka Chan Verdant's Thorn of the Rose matchup in the hands of Paul Gilby. Ka takes that one down once again, a match that we saw play out in Swiss. Now it's going to be Ka versus Nick Reuter, who we just had on for an interview after his victory on Vynnset Iron Maiden versus Colby Homan's Dorinthia Iron Song, a carpool match for that matter.
Yeah, a lot of upsets to the extent you can consider seeding to be indicative of anything in these games. In that, Ka-Chan was the only higher seeded player to get a win in this matchup. We saw Nick Reuter squeak out a victory against Colby Homan. Joshua Tavares winning the Syndromere, which I can imagine is a flashbang of a match. And then, as you mentioned, Connor Bryant this time presumably getting his boom grenades to connect against Daniel Flavin.
Yeah, we expected that Syndromere to be a quick one, but it was the last match that we were waiting on before going back live. So I wonder if it got a little grindier than we would have expected.
Maybe some players got into the tank as well, as you were allowed to do in top 8. You got as a limitless time. So in any case, Joshua Tavares doing what I thought was a very difficult task, which is presumably having to go first and still winning the Syndromere.
Because he was indeed the lower seed. Beside his Syndra counterpart, Andrew Melson. So yeah, Josh taking that one down and moving on to the semifinals. We are going to be bringing you the Ka Chan versus Nick Reuter matchup. That is Slippy versus Vynnset. Players are setting up as we speak, and we're going to take a minute to thank our sponsor, Grave Troll Games, once again for hosting AGE in New England. It is a brand new home for us and also just a brand new brick and mortar store. If you didn't get a chance to peep the interview with owner Katie Lamar, go ahead and scroll back and listen to what she has to say, because she's just a swell person, and Grave Troll has been a magnificent host. Hearing a lot of great things from players and casters and producers alike about them. So thank you once again, Grave Troll Games, for hosting us in New England. Next month, we will be back at our original home in New England, however, and that's Great Stories Comics and Games in Whitensville, Massachusetts. It's going to be a classic constructed open on July 13th, which is a Sunday. Concurrently, another open in Los Angeles will be happening on the very same day, July 13th. That'll be at Top Deck Keep in Riverside, California. Also a classic constructed open. And then in the following month, on August 9th, it'll be the last Los Angeles Open before we make our cut to the top 16, and those players duke it out at the Players' Championship the following month. That one will also be at Top Deck Keep in Riverside, California, so be on the lookout for those streams coming down the pipe. We're definitely going to be streaming the LA Open next month. Alas, not the New England Open, but we'll see if we can get back, because I think we're headed straight back here. Grave Troll Games on the following month.
And you know what else July 13th is, right, Bryce?
No.
It's my birthday. So hopefully I'll get myself some AGE points on that special day.
Oh, I thought you were, surely you have something better to do on your birthday?
Yeah, maybe, but let's not share that.
We hope not, because we love to see you in your seat at the AGE Open Series, despite the fact that you already have plenty of AGE points to qualify you ostensibly for the Players' Championship. You are sitting at, what, the 2nd seed in LA?
I think so, but you can never have too many AGE points. I'll take as many as you'll give me.
Too true. And let's go ahead and check out these players who are competing for their own share of the prize points. It's Ka Chan on the left side of your screen on Arakni, slipped through the cracks, versus Nick Reuter. Looks like we are waiting for an update on our encoders for the player cam. Nick Reuter is not indeed sitting in his interview seat. He is instead in the player seat at the ready to get this game underway. We'll troubleshoot that player cam in just a moment, but Ka Chan is coming out swinging. It's an Orb Weaver Spinneret into Infect on this turn 0 of the game. 6 power, threatening a Blood Rot token. Hopefully, Ka has a attack reaction to back this up.
Nick Reuter, not at all worried. In fact, statuesque in response to this attack. I'm just kidding. We'll get that fixed. But presumably, Ka Chan did have the choice here in electing to go first, perhaps hoping to leak some damage as the reaction-heavy hero. Meanwhile, peeking at Nick's hand here, it seems as if I can't tell if we have any reactions here, and even if he did, his only reaction, I guess, would cost 1 in this position. So it'll be interesting to see how Nick chooses to block. And here, not blocking at all. Interesting. So Ka going to double react here, first flicking the Hunter's Clave to mark Nick, but then additionally spiking with Blood Rot. So I hope for Nick's sake, and he does have the reduced to Rune Chant to pay for here, but the rest of this damage, and it is not an insubstantial amount of damage, is going to connect directly to Nick's life total, bringing him down all the way to 34 and giving him 2 Blood Rot Poxes to boot. So at a threatened 30 life after just turn 0, Bryce, an incredible first turn for Ka, albeit sacrificing the arsenal.
Overcoming that 2 life deficit straight out of the gate is Ka-Chan, and it's over to Nick Reuter for his first turn of the game. 2 Blood Rot Pox tokens to deal with, and he has no blues in hand. Looks like that might just be 4 true damage going to his face at the end of this turn. For now, he's got to decide what to banish to this Vynnset ability. It's going to be a yellow Deathly Whale, hoping to generate some more rune chants further on down the line. For now, it's just 2 on his side of the board.
And we do see another Deadwood Dirge for Nick. This was just a absolute all-star for him. And oh, wow, having the heads-up play to destroy the Blood Rot Pox and turn a negative into a positive, Bryce. Up to 5 rune chants on turn 1 for Nick, followed up by a Sonata Galaxia. I think I'm saying that right.
You are, and you thought Deadwood Dirge was an extremely powerful card when it's destroying a rune chant and upping it to 3. In this case, taking away offensive capability from your opponent and converting it to your side of the board, that is A-OK in my book. That is 3 points on the rune chance and also 2 points on the life gain. That is a 1-card 5, baby.
Yeah, I'll take a 0 for 5. And now Nick developing out, gosh, I always forget the blessings of a rune chant generator of some kind.
That'll be Blessing of Occult, which will generate 3 rune chants at the start of Nick's next turn.
And we're seeing some of the auras that Nick was talking about during my interview with him just several minutes ago now, in that I think he built a version of Vynnset that is very reliant on developing out these auras, as we are seeing here. Nick now sending out, going to send a Deathly Whale with his 5 rune chants, threatening 5 rune chants along with it here. 10 split damage coming towards Ka-Chan.
And split damage is something that Ka does not usually like to deal with because he just doesn't have a whole lot of blues like our hatchet-wielding friend on the last feature match.
And here we see in Ka's hand, we do have a codex that he's going to go ahead and give to the pitch zone there to prevent 2 of those root chants. We saw Ka do this to tremendous effect during his stream game during Swiss, maybe signaling another codex in hand. I guess that'll remain to be seen here, as Ka's just going to keep 1 card left in hand as Nick cleans up his turn. As he goes to end here, I guess Nick is going to take the 2 from the codex of Blood Rot, from the Blood Rot token that he was not able to generate into a positive offensive output for himself. And we are off to Ka's turn. Let's see, and he's going to go ahead and just tuck his card in arsenal, planning for a 5-card hand on the other side here. Nick, meanwhile, seems has a D-React in hand. That's not going to have a whole lot of offensive output on this turn. But maybe seeing if we have the goods here to start continuing to apply the pressure on Ka, as Nick is going to be wont to do.
Vynnset is marked at this juncture. Ka-Chan going to be looking for a Take Up the Mantle or some other payoff for that marked token.
Up to 4 rune chants here for Nick, and he's... The one thing I'm learning about Nick, this is now my second game watching him, he is never short on the rune chance. He's always going to be able to send a ton of damage. I think that's really, Bryce, just like a function of the fact that he has all of these auras, and we see yet another arcane cussing for Nick, which will, you guessed it, generate even more rune chants for him once one of those rune chants connects.
And yeah, his arcane cussings have really been lining up super well with these other shadow non-attacks, which means that he's able to pay 1 life into that Vynnset ability and ensure that arcane cussing will generate 3 rune chant tokens on the back. And man, it is just an onslaught of purple circles once again on the side of Nick Reuter. 6 rune chants coming in, and then a widespread ruin coming in for 7 go again, threatening to put even more gas in that banish zone for our Shadow Runeblade.
And Ka looking like he's just taking all of this. And I will say the one bright side for Ka is, if you're like me, you're always worried about succumb to temptation. No such worry here. Nick has an empty hand, so Ka may be just signing up for all of that damage while he knows that he will not be disrupted. That being said, Nick opting to banish the top card of his deck. Not a rune-gateable card there. Maybe just not a card that Nick decided he wanted to see here.
Is curious indeed that he decided to banish that card. Maybe just trying to pull off like a -IO cosplay and dig as far as he can until he finds that Rune Gate card. In this case, it's Eloquent Eulogy. Really wanted to capitalize on the go again clause of Shadow Puppetry and see if he could just leak even more damage. And Ka is just taking a beating right here. 30-16 before this turn passes back to our Slippery Assassin.
Wow. And I guess, we have two players here who had such entertaining games. Ka during Swiss, Nick just a second ago in quarterfinals. And I guess I should have expected nothing but explosions from these two, and that's exactly what we're getting. So Ka leading off here with a, oh gosh.
That'd be a Kiss
of Death. I've been hit by this card more times than I can mention, and I already forgot. A Kiss of Death, threatening total of 4 damage, should Nick not be able to block this out. Of course, Ka has endless ability to be able to go over the top, so Nick may feel that he's just priced into taking this damage anyway. And from what I can tell, no reduce to Rune Chant available for Nick. He doesn't have a Rune Chant anyway to discount the cost, so Nick gonna have to play this fairly.
Looks like an Arcane Cussing, a Deadwood Dirge, Succumb to Temptation, and then one other card in the hand. I don't know if I saw a Rune Gate card.
And Nick has to figure that Ka's got a lot of firepower. On the other hand, he chose to take all of that damage on Nick's last turn. I got to tell you, Bryce, I have to believe that the over-under on how long this game lasts is what, another 1.5, maybe 2 turns at the pace these players are going. Maybe we'll see some blocks finally committed. And there is Nick. We finally got him on screen. Still as he tries to decide. Slippy putting him in the torture chamber a little bit here.
Yeah, maybe we were. Maybe that was going to be his posture, no matter whether the camera was on or off. Statuesque in his response to Ka's onslaught. But Nick is definitely on the front foot here, despite the fact that he is in the tank on these blocks. And I think it's mainly because he doesn't know what to do on his turn. I was wrong, however. There is a Rune Gate card. It's in the form of a yellow Deathly Whale. He does have a Blessing of Occult and a Deadwood Dirge. So he would probably be able to just banish that Deathly Whale to the Vynnset ability and then go ahead and play out Deadwood Dirge, go up to 3 Rune Chants and send that Deathly Whale. But he knew what was coming from Ka. It's a Razor's Edge and a Tarantula Toxin. So the fact that Nick blocked here is kind of playing into Ka's game plan, turning that Tarantula Toxin into a 1-card 3 attack reaction to a 1-card 6.
And Nick should be unmarked here. Hopefully the players catch that shortly. But Ka able to follow this up here with I believe that's card's called Death Touch.
That is right.
Which is threatening yet another on-hit. So you can totally understand why it is that that Ka was willing to take so much damage on the last turn, in that he has this really artful play on the other side.
Death Touch is one of my favorite cards, not even from Outsiders, but also just in general. That card has so much flavor for me, especially when paired with Codex of Frailty, and Ka deploying it here just brings a lot of love to my heart. I love the grungy art style of the pits and all of the affliction tokens that came with that set.
And the judges catching that Nick took some damage and no longer should be marked there, so we are maintaining the game state here, hoping to avoid another judge call in this one.
And man, we picked this match because we didn't think it would go nearly as fast as a Syndra-IO matchup. But in this case, it's just so fast. So much damage flying this way and that for both of these players.
Another Deadwood Dirge blowing up a Blood Rot Pox. So Nick just having the Deadwood Dirges, willingly signing up, and maybe making sense why he didn't even attempt to block out that Death Touch, figuring that he would turn a negative into a positive.
So much for Death Touch being a 1-cost 8. Ka is, however, following up 7 plays 14 in this lightning fast round, but there are no lightning heroes to speak of. It's Orbweaver Spinneret generating a Graphene Calycera token, and Ka is coming in for the second Kiss of Death this game. 6 go again on this one.
And this is so scary to block once you're below 15 or so life. You got to wonder if the Tarantula Toxin is going to be there to invalidate your blocks anyway. Nick just got punished by that in the last turn. Will that dissuade him from blocking an attack he may otherwise try to block?
Man, it looks like both players are just high-rolling each other back and forth. The life totals are swinging this way and that. Every time I think one of these players has an edge, it swings back the other way.
And this game is so fast-paced, so razor-thin. I truly... Gosh, I would be leaning towards being in Ka's seat right now, I think. But honestly, it could go either way, Bryce. It's And you know, the players are moving so fast. Nick is right, I think, to take his time with this block. Slippy asks a lot of questions. As a person who has to provide the answers, you're, I think, more than entitled, especially in top 8, to do that. And Nick making the decision here to use a face purgatory, insulating himself from a potential tarantula toxin.
Not only is he going to save himself the damage that face purgatory would block, but also the offensive capability that is left in the hand of Ka. He probably would have liked to follow this up with an E-strike for 5, draw a card, but instead, hey, a red infect is not a bad throw in its own right for this second action point. Nick, however, has drawn himself up a card and probably has the tools to block this out.
There's no way that's another Deadwood Dirge for Nick. There's no way. He's had the answer every time he's gotten a blood rot.
And look at the posture. He's literally dancing in his seat, thinking about blowing up another blood rot box. Look at that wry smile. He loves this.
Oh man, I love this. I love this for Nick. I would like to revise my prior statement about wanting to be in Ka's seat. I think being in Nick's seat right now seems like a grand old time, but nonetheless, taking his time on this.
Man, Nick has been stoic in terms of his posture and his facial expressions all throughout that Hatchet story game, all throughout his interview, and now he is just loving this. This is the thrill of the hunt for our Shadow Runeblade.
What do you think? I mean, it seems clear enough to me that maybe you just take this damage and blow up the... What do you think he's thinking about, Bryce?
He's probably thinking like, yes, it's the fun play, but is it the right play? I probably shouldn't be taking 3 damage for nothing, especially when it's this close. But he definitely has Ka on the ropes right now. Nick is firmly in the tempoed seat, and he's also got his opponent down below 10 life. This is where Vynnset is very comfortable because she can, at will, just utilize her hero ability after playing a Shadow non-attack and force the last few dregs of her opponent's life totals out of the game.
Yeah, and really, again, I just want to emphasize, Nick, new to this scene, new to this area, and again, finally taking another blood rot to the chin. This blood rot, as we know, is not long for this world, we would imagine, but acquitting himself well against somebody who's now well situated in the AG New England scene in Ka Chan.
So this is really interesting here. Nick has an incredible line. He's not going to take it, though. So there's a Phantom Wraith in hand. The line that I'm thinking of here is banish the... Oh, never mind. He needs both of them in the banish zone. Ignore me, folks. Instead, we're banishing the Deathly Whale. Gonna go ahead and create 2 rune chants off the Vex and Quill hand. I think he's going for the throat here. Deathly Whale coming in for 4 rune chants and 5 physical.
This won't have go again, though, right? What am I...
Yeah, so what I was thinking about was a Spellbound Creepers play.
Yeah, that's probably right.
But in this case, he would have to pay for that Phantom Wraith that's in hand. He has the Tunic available to activate Spellbound Creepers, which would be cool to play out the Deadwood Dirge at instant speed and get his action point back. Maybe he's just thinking he wants a flail swing after this.
That's got to be it. That's the only way the line makes sense to me, but... Nick, of course, is now an expert at piloting this Vynnset deck, so I trust his instincts on what he's going to be doing here. And sure enough, Bryce, you nailed it. Here come the Spellbound Creepers.
It is Spellbound Creepers going to be cashed in to play that Deadwood Dirge at instant speed, generating an action point and also 3 rune chants. Nick cannot then cannot deploy the Phantom Wraith from hand because he doesn't have the pitch to do so. But what he can do is swing that Flail of Agony, which is going to mean that both he and Ka took damage on this turn, which means that Deathly Whale is going to generate 2 rune chants for the next turn. And Ka really sweet play.
Giving a wry smell to seeing what we've known about for a second, which was that Deadwood Dirge was going to blow up his Blood Rot Pox here.
3 Deadwood Dirges in the deck and 3 Blood Rot Pox banished to the Shadow Realm in favor of a purple circle. Ka forced to block with those valuable Flick Knives at this point. No rune chant generated from the Flail of Agony, but 2 are going to be created on the side of Nick Reuter after the combat chain closes, thanks to the fact that he lost life from the Flail of Agony and Ka lost life from the onslaught of rune chants.
Yeah, so Nick will have a bit of a head start on trying to get his next turn to be operable. You have to think Ka wants to be able to send something here to try to... He's going to have to strip cards from Nick. The one thing he does have on his sidecar is that he's able to present damage in a way that has much less face-up than the way that Nick is doing. So he's going to force Nick to respect the possibility that Ka can create a towering attack that could rapidly reduce Nick's life total.
He really needs Nick to have a brick here, but it really doesn't look like he does. He's got an Eloquent Eulogy, which is a 1 cost. He's also got a Phantom Banshee in hand, which he can simply banish here, generate another rune chant, and swing away. He's also got a Machinations of Dominion, which is going to give him the action points to fuel the rest of this turn. This is going to be fearsome from Nick. Ka is not going to get a reprieve here, and he's going to have to fight to survive.
And this Machinations Dominion will convey both overpower and go again here. So Nick looking like he might have the tools he needs, Bryce.
There is a blue in the hand for Ka, so that's one thing he's got going for him. Looks like an action and a non-action blocked with here, so only 1 damage coming through off the top of that Phantom Banshee. Ka should be descending on down to 3 if memory serves. And with the go again, Nick has the option to pitch that Funeral Moon and send Eloquent Eulogy. He cannot play the Funeral Moon out of hand at instant speed. Or I'm sorry, he can because a hero has lost life. Instead, he elects to just send that Phantom.
Wow. The old-fashioned way from hand.
From Arsenal, technically.
From
but
Arsenal, sorry,
pitching cards from hand. but either way you slice it, the victory goes to Nick Reuter, the Carpool King. Oh, and he gives a beautiful smile to the camera.
How's that for swagger, Bryce?
That is a swagger that comes from a man that has killed 3 Bloodrot Pox tokens with Deadwood Dirges.
And a man who I had told me that he didn't believe this was going to be a favorable matchup for him. Nevertheless, piloting it expertly.
That was definitely a battle of the high rolls, I think. Both players were just hucking dice this way and that. Probably practiced from the craps table at Las Vegas and doing what their decks do best. But when it came down to it, Ka stumbled once. His deck blinked, and that was all that Nick needed to gain the edge in the end.
And to Ka's credit, Ka does not stumble very often. We saw Ka swiftly dispatch of Verdance earlier today, doing it again in the quarterfinals. Another excellent run for Ka, who will be hoping to see in the Players' Championship later this year.
So it is not a victory yet again for Ka-chan, but nevertheless a stellar performance on his favorite hero, Arakni, slipped through the cracks. He had a little stint on New Alluring Desire last month, but he's over that now. He can't even access her at this point anyway. He's all Slippy all the time and showing that he has a place here at AGE with that hero.
Yes, and we have established one looming presence in Ka-chan, who I'm sure will be back. Here we are establishing yet another as we have a Vynnset, Bryce, in the finals.
We will have a quick conversation with Nick Reuter because he just happened to vanquish his opponent incredibly quickly, and we'll definitely be waiting on our other matchup, and then we will be back with the finals shortly thereafter. So first, a quick break, and then we'll hear from Nick Reuter one more time, who's bound to have a massive smile on his face. So more smiles, more local legends, and more flesh and blood after this. Do not go anywhere. We're back. My name is Bryce Platts at the AGE June Open in New England with my favorite man wielding a purple crayon, and that is Nick Reuter. He's back with another Vynnset Iron Maiden victory. You are the one in the field, but you brought her, and you are succeeding incredibly well at your first ever AGE Open. How you feeling, Nick?
I'm back. I'm feeling great.
You're back and better than ever, honestly, after resolving 3 Deadwood Dirges, the only 3 in your deck, against Bloodrot Poxes. How does that feel?
That feels from going from a -2 to a +3 feels great.
Yeah, without a doubt, Nick. And we saw you kind of, when that last infect was coming your way and you had drawn up the Dirge with which to deal with the Bloodrot Pox, that was the first time I saw you kind of break this stoic character that you've definitely been showcasing on stream. I saw a little happy dance. I saw a big grin coming your way, and you're like, it's cute, but should I do it? How are you feeling in that moment?
I took a long being relative because this game was so short. I took a long time
14
thinking
minutes,
about
by the way.
whether-
That was a 14-minute game.
Is that a record? That's a record of some kind.
Yeah, 100%.
I took a long time to consider whether to block with the Phantom Wraith that I drew off of the Face Purgatory draw. And I thought, okay, I could block with this and save the 3 health. Maybe that is necessary. The factor that made me choose to keep it in hand, not block, do the cute Deadwood Dirge Bloodrot Pox play, was that I had not yet seen a Codex of Frailty resolve, and I wanted to put anything in my arsenal to block that. So I thought, oh, this is actually perfect. We'll just take 3 damage. We'll eat the pox. We'll block future codexes, and then turns out that was the 6 damage I needed to get over the last card in the hand to get lethal.
An incredibly smart play against assassins that are want to resolve Codex of Frailty every single game. And usually they do, but not when it is over in 14 minutes like you just did against Ka-Chan, who has had an amazing run at this tournament, by the way, and in previous AGE Opens. So, Nick, I have to ask, do you have any specific inspiration for this particular Vynnset 80 that you brought today?
Yeah. So I mentioned in the last round interview that I got the deck from a streamer called Fabtin. He's, I think, out of California, kind of in your neighborhood. But he has been developing a Vynnset list called Cultist that uses the Aura package pretty heavily. I think that that is really, really strong. The deck that I'm running is like 78 of the 80 cards that he used in his deck. It's very, very close. The only switch that I made, I took out I took out Bandana of Blue Horizons.
I'm sorry?
And I took out Bandana of Blue Horizons.
I'm sorry, one more time for the people in the back. What is in this 80?
Bandana of Blue, beyond Bandana of Blue Horizons. It's the headpiece.
Yeah, I know it's when you're talking.
into-
I'm sorry. I'm not trying to correct you on the name, but I am just flabbergasted that this has made it into a Vynnset 80.
You use it into hyper fatigue matchups to summon Nazareth twice.
Oh, yes, of course. Okay.
Yeah, so you can grab the Oblivion back from your graveyard and then shuffle the deck with Sonata Galaxia and then mix it back into your 60 cards, and maybe you can summon Nazareth twice. I think, Fabtin is a great deck builder. He cooks a little hard sometimes.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Fabtin is probably putting a little bit too much garam masala in the sauce, at least for Nick Reuter, who is doing so well at AGE New England. Fabtin is in chat, and he's been popping off all day long. Really excited to see you doing so well. So say what's up to your boy.
Hey, what's up? Really having a good time today. Ka-Chan, gotta say, Ka-Chan was an absolute pleasure to play against. He was super friendly, very upbeat, just really fun game in the semifinals.
Showing off why he is a mainstay at the AGE New England Opens, and his Slippy decks have been influencing plenty of people, just about as much as second place world champion Chris Ayali when he took it to an AGLA Open. So shout out to Ka-Chan, and thank you so much for being a special part of our community. And thank you, Nick, for now joining the fleet of AGE openers.
Thanks.
And I heard that the last round, it's out of the bag now. It was a carpool matchup, but I do have to ask, because if you tune into the AGLA streams, you know that the Honda Pilot buff is a very real thing for Anthony Pham and company. So what is the make and model of the carpool you took today?
I even asked him. I knew you would ask this, so I asked Colby about it, and I don't remember. It's blue. It's like a SUV van kind of thing.
Okay, we are going to have to get an answer on that so that we can put Honda Pilot versus blue SUV van thing on a sleeve at some point in the future, and maybe we can get you two to carpool to Kansas City or something and duke it out.
East Coast
in the
versus
middle.
West Coast.
100%. The battle of the carpools is probably even more interesting than the battle of the winners of the Players' Championship. Nick, I have to let you go because you have a match to prepare for. It's you versus one other lucky competitor, either Joshua Tavares or I am blanking on the other, Connor Bryant from the Runaways, facing it off in the finals. This is a $200 match that you are about to go down with. Are you prepared? Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm prepared. I'm nervous, but it's been an absolute blast playing with everyone, so I'm just having a good time.
Awesome. Take a break, Nick, and get ready to draw your last drop of blood. We can't wait to see you on the finals here at AGE June in New England. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with more Nick Reuter, more of the victor of our other semifinals, and more Flesh and Blood after this.